again, this tutorial is for another hexagon motif. It's the puff stitch hexagon, and it comes out a little bit bigger than the previous hexagons that we've done. This one measures about 6 inches, which is 15 centimetres from point to point. The one that I'm showing you here is done just in one colour, but for the tutorial I'm going to use 2 colours so that you can see a defined difference between each of the rows. I'm using a double knit yarn and a 5mm hook, and to start off we need to do a chain of 5. So I'm going to join the yarn to the hook with a slip knot and then work the 5 chain, which is yarn over and through the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then as always we're going to join with a slip stitch to form a ring. So into the ring we're going to work the first 6 puff stitches. So to start, we're going to, just for the first one, we do 2 chain, and then the normal puff stitch, which is yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, and we're going to go through all of the loops to form the first starting puff, which is a little bit different to the normal ones. We then chain 3, and now we're going to work 5 of the normal puff stitches. So we've got yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, and then we're going to pull through all of the loops and chain 3. So we've now got 2 puff stitches. We do the same thing again another 4 times. So yarn over, pick up a loop, 1, yarn over, pick up a loop, 2, yarn over, pick up a loop, 3, and then yarn over, pull through all of the loops at the same time, excuse me, and 3 chain. So carry on working the puff stitches until we've got 6 puffs all together. Just go over the puff stitch again if you're unsure. So we've got 3 chain, 1 to finish off the puff stitch, and then another 2. So yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over, and we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 loops all together on the hook. We're going to pull through all 7, followed by 3 chain. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we'll do the 6th the 6th puff stitch. So 1, 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all 3 chain, and then we're going to join into the top of this first puff stitch that we made. Because I'm going to fasten off and start a new colour, we'll just snip off the yarn, pull the loop through and pull tight to fasten off, and there we've got the first row complete. The next row I'm going to do in a blue. If you were going to carry on with the same colour at this point, we would slip stitch into this space here, but because I'm starting a new colour, I'm going to join in the colour into that space. So slip knot onto the hook and join the yarn into that first space. So for this next row we're going to work 2 puff stitches in each of these chain spaces with 3 chain in between, so we'll end up with 12 puff stitches on this second row. So again, to start I'm going to chain 2, and then we start with the starting puff stitch. So we've got 1 and 2, pull the stitches through, chain 3, and in the same space we're going to do another puff stitch. So 1, 2 and 3, pull through all of the stitches and chain 3. So there we've got the first 2 stitches into this first space. We're going to do 2 puff stitches into each of these spaces with a chain 3 in between each. So we'll go on to the next space. There's 1, chain 3, and we do a second puff stitch into the same space, followed by chain 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and into that same space we do a second puff stitch. Chain 3 into the next chain space where we're going to work the 2 puff stitches with a chain 3 in between. Then we'll move on to the next chain space and work a puff stitch, chain 3 and a second puff stitch. Followed by chain 3. We're now at the last space here, going to work a puff stitch, chain 3 and a second puff stitch, chain 3, and we're going to join into the top of the first puff stitch with a slip stitch, snip off the yarn and pull the loop through. So we've now got 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 puff stitches, and I'm going to rejoin the mauve yarn for row number 3. So round number 3, again I'm going to join the yarn to the hook with a slip stitch, and on this next row we're going to work alternate 2s and 1s so that we can form the 6 sides of the hexagon. So we're going to join in between 2 puff stitches together rather than in the space between the sets of 2. So into this first chain space we're going to do the 2 chains, which is going to form the first puff stitch, and then work the 2 more stitches. Excuse me. We're going to work 2 chain in between and a second puff stitch. 2 chain. We're now going to work 1 puff stitch into this next space, followed by 2 chain, and then we come again to the next corner, so we're going to work 2 puff stitches, 2 chain, 2 puff stitch, 1 puff stitch, 2 chain and another puff stitch into that same space. So there we've got 1, 2 chain and a second puff stitch into the same space. Chain 2, and then we've got the space now between the 2. We're going to work 1 puff. Followed by 2 chains. And again we're at the next corner, so we've got 1 puff stitch, 2 chains and another puff stitch, followed by 2 chains. So at this point now you can see that we're forming the corners, so you need to carry on all the way around, working 1 puff stitch into the next chain space, 2 chains, 1 puff stitch, 2 chains, 1 puff stitch into the next chain space, 2 chains, 1 puff stitch into the next chain space, and so on until you get round to the other side where we're going to join with a slip stitch, and I'll meet you as we get to the end of this round. We've come to the end of this round. We're going to work the 2 chain after the final puff stitch and join into the top of the first puff stitch with a slip stitch. Snip off the yarn and pull through to fasten off. So I'll join again with the blue yarn for the next row. We can see now that we've got a definite hexagon shape where each of the 2 puff stitches into the same stitch have formed the corners. If you're doing your hexagon in the one shade, you would need to slip stitch into the next corner. Because I'm changing colour, I'm going to start in any of the corners with a slip stitch just to join the yarn. We're now changing stitches and we're working half double crochets, and we need to do 2 half doubles into this first chain space between the 2 puff stitches. So we've got 1 and 2. We work 2 chains and a further 2 half doubles into that same space. So there's 1 and 2. We need to now just slide the stitches along a little bit because we're going to work into each stitch along the row. So the first one tends to be a little bit hidden, it's this one here. So we're going to work 1 double into that first stitch and then 1 double in each stitch along to the next corner. And the half double is yarn over, oops, we've gone slightly wrong there. I'll just undo back to the 2 half doubles that we did in the corner, and I do apologise. The next stitch will be 3 half doubles into this next chain space. We're not actually working into the stitches. So into the space, we yarn over, into the space, pick up a loop, yarn over, and then we go through all 3 together we're going to do that another 2 times. So we've got 3 half doubles in this space. We don't do any chains in between, and we're going to work 3 half doubles into the next chain space. That brings us up to the next corner, and in the corner again we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chains and 2 half doubles. So there's 1 and 2, followed by 2 chains and a further 2 half doubles into that same space. We're going to go straight into this next chain space and work 3 half doubles. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3. Come across to the next space where again we're going to do 3 half doubles, 1 and 2 and 3. That brings us up to the next corner. I'm going to try and work over this tail end of yarn as well to keep it neat. So we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chains and another 2 half doubles in that same chain space. 3 half doubles into the next space, and then another 3 half doubles into the next chain space. That brings us back up to the next corner, where again we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chains and 2 half doubles. Just pull that tail of yarn away from there. So the next chain space will be 3 half doubles, followed by 3 half doubles, and then we're back at the corner where we're going to do 2 half doubles, 2 chains and 2 half doubles. We carry on all the way around, that the spaces in between the corners we've got 3 half doubles, and each corner you would have 2 half doubles, 2 chains and 2 half doubles, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. We've come to the end of the row, so again I'm going to join into that first half double with a slip stitch, snip off the yarn and fasten off. Again, if you're going to be using the same colour, you will now need to slip stitch along to this first corner. Because I'm changing colour, I'm going to go to a different corner and join back in with the mauve yarn. So slip knot onto the hook and join into this first corner. We're now going to work a half double followed by a second half double, chain 2 and another 2 half doubles into that same chain space. This is the row now where we need to slide the stitches along slightly, because the first stitch will be a hidden stitch. It's this one here, and we need to do a half double in this first stitch and 1 in each stitch across to the second corner. So with that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And the easiest way to make sure that you've not missed the hidden stitch is to make sure that you've got 10 half doubles after the 2 half doubles there that are in the corner. So we've reached the next corner. We're going to do 2 half doubles, 2 chain and another 2 half doubles. Again, slide your work slightly so that you can see this hidden stitch here, and we do 1 half double in each stitch across to the next corner. And as long as you've got the 10 half doubles after the 2 that were in the corner, you know that you've not missed the hidden stitch. So you can just count. There we've got the 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, which brings us to the next corner where we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chain and 2 half doubles. We just carry on the same way around all 6 sides, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So I've come all the way around working the 2 half doubles, 2 chain half doubles in the corners, and then the 10 half doubles along the side. Now going to join with a slip stitch into the first half double, pull through the loop, snip off the yarn and pull through. And there we've got the puff stitch hexagon. I have done a previous tutorial on joining hexagons together, and you would do it in exactly the same way with these. It's just that you would have more stitches along each side. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.